Hey guys, about 6 weeks ago I colored my hair at home as I've done before and it's never been a problem, but this time I really messed myself up. So as you can see, or maybe you can't see, I'm not really sure, but the bulk of my hair is like a level 10 neutral blonde, and that's kind of what I'm going for, like a level 9 or 10, nothing too ashy, nothing too warm. But right up here, exhibit A from here to here, is what I messed up about 6 weeks ago when I touched up my roots. I used the wrong amount of developer with my color, and that just left me really, really brassy. But I know I can fix this at home, and I want to show you how, because it could save you a trip to the hairdresser too. Then I also have right here about 6 weeks of my own natural regrowth, which is like a level 6 brown. So I've got like a level 6 brown, I've got like a level 8 really warm, really brassy blonde that I need to fix, and then I've got kind of what I'm going for, like a level 10 neutral beigey blonde. So I want to show you how to fix this. It's going to be about $20 worth of stuff from Sally's Beauty Supply, and it's going to take about 2 hours, but it's totally worth it to save a trip to the hairdresser, as long as your hair is not red. If you've turned your hair red, then you need to go to the hairdresser, but if it's still in the blonde family, it's definitely salvageable using bleach and toner, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So at this point, if you've lifted with color and you're left with red tones in your hair, adding more color, even with a 40 volume developer, even if it's an ashy color, it's not going to lift and get rid of the red. You have to use bleach. Because I am determined to get through the red, I'm using a 30 volume developer. If you don't think you need 30 volume developer, you can do 20 volume developer. I really like this developer. It's sensitive scalp and it smells really pretty. It's Ion, and it's the purple one. So that's what you need to mix your bleach and get it going. So then you're also gonna need your brush, which you're also gonna use to mix, your mixing bowl, and then possibly hair clips. So that's gonna be step one. I also cut foils at home. Technically you don't need foils if you're gonna just do highlights in your hair, but what I like about foils is it contains the bleach to exactly where you put it, and then it also kind of lengthens the cooking time. So once your bleach is crunchy and dry, it's no longer lightening your hair. So if you are determined to cut through the red, I would recommend using foils. So that's gonna get us through step one. And then step two is, after I've done my highlights and I've left the bleach in there and washed it out, I'm gonna come back with my towel dried damp hair and I'm going to tone it. And I'll just show you what I'm gonna use to tone it. I'm gonna use Color Brilliance Intensive Shine Demi-Permanent Color. So for the demi-permanent color, you can use it as a toner as long as you're using a level 10 developer. So again, I'm using the same brand of developer for the toner, but it's 10% or 9%, whatever, 9 or 10%, same. That's going to deposit the color on your hair, so it's going to act like a stain on your hair versus actually lifting your hair more than it needs to be lifted in order to deposit the color. So it's better for your hair than using 20 or 30 volume. So it's going to deposit the color, Ion Color Brilliance Intensive Shine Demi-Permanent Hair Color. And the one I've chosen is the 10 Neutral Ash. Again, I'm going for a beigey blonde. I'm not going for something really silvery and gray, although I know that's super trendy. So I mixed my bleach. I ended up doing a 1:2 ratio of bleach, and this is how it looks. It was just too thick for me, doing a 1:1.5 ratio. So you're also gonna need gloves. You can get those at Sally's as well. And then I'm gonna go ahead and get started. So I like to start on the sides, but technically you should start wherever you want your hair to be the brightest. So I don't really care. I'm gonna start on the side, and I'm just gonna do my crown. So I'm just gonna do around my face from here to here. So I'm gonna start right here. And I change my part all the time. So for me, the whole crown just kind of needs to be the same. And I'm planning on only leaving the bleach on my hair for like 35 minutes, using either the end of your bleach brush or using a comb with a pointy end. You're just going to go through your hair and select the hairs that you want bleached. So I tend to grab really small pieces. But really, the thicker the piece you grab, then the chunkier the highlight's gonna be. So then just grabbing those hairs. That one's gonna be too thick. I didn't divide my hair well enough, but that's okay. All right, so these are the pieces that I'm gonna highlight. So taking my foil, I do shiny side up, but I don't think it matters. I'm gonna go ahead and highlight all of that, and that's gonna cut through the red. You wanna make sure your hair is fully coated. So there's no patches in your highlight. So I'm going to flip it in half as best as I can, and then I'm going to flip it again and making sure that it's fully covering all of the bleach, so it's not going to bleed out onto another hair. And then I also check the back side. Okay, cool. We got one down. So then moving on, I like to pull a piece down on top. So I let some hair fall on top to make sure that there's no appearance of chunky highlights with one highlight laying on top of another highlight. So I just fold over another piece of hair. It was about 225 when I put my first foil in, so just to be safe, I'm gonna check my first foil at 255. This is the most tedious part, is being really careful to not have any pieces that are too thick or too wide, because those are just gonna look like a big white chunk on your head.
White chunk on your head.
These ends are kind of blotchy, so I'm going to make sure I get them in there too.
Folding this over, and then being really careful folding it over the second time. And because it's right where my part is going to be, I'm going to double check that there's no bleach squeezing out the other end. That's going to make me look crazy. I'm on the left top of my head now. I'm going to continue my process, so just grabbing a thin section and folding it over.
I'm running out of bleach, so this is definitely going to be my last foil. And then we can check the first foil that I put in and see if that is bright enough. What we want to see is like a very light yellow, and no orange. So for me, one packet of bleach just does the very top of my crown. Not even half of my head. And I really don't have that much hair. It's long, but it's not, there's not a ton of it. I used to have a lot of hair, but I don't know what happened.
Alright, cool. So that's in there.
I went back and washed out the first foil, and it was definitely ready because you can see how bright blonde that is. So that one's done. In a couple minutes I'm going to check the next one and then work my way through. And if at some point I see a little bit of brassiness, that means it's still, this one is still cooking. You can see a tiny bit of orange in there. It's not ready, so I would say just a couple more minutes.
Another foil. really nice highlights.
I think actually in about 3 or 4 minutes, I'm just gonna pull them all out and jump in the shower, and then I'll be back with my damp hair. This is my super fluffy, quick blow dried hair. I did my highlights. As you can see, it's just a little bit lighter all over at the root, and it cut through some of that orange, though the orange is definitely still there. So what I'm going to do is do that Color Brilliance Intensive Shine Demi-Permanent hair color. And to use it as a toner like I'm going to do, you want to make sure you get a shade that's lighter than your own color to be safe than sorry, because when you're using a 10 volume like I am, everything tends to come out darker than what you think it's going to come out. It doesn't look anything like the swatch. So 10 volume sensitive scalp mixed with the Demi-Permanent hair color. To apply this, I'm going to be using a squeeze bottle, and it has a little angled applicator tip. I'm gonna mix it in there and squeeze it out first on my roots and then covering the orange portion of my hair. I think I'm gonna leave it on for a total of 15 minutes. So for the first 10 minutes, I'm going to let it counteract that orange. And then the last 5 minutes, I'm gonna pull it through the rest of my hair to deposit a little bit of color on my ends, because as you can see, they're very light since I used bleach on them again, and they're very porous. So depositing some color on there is just gonna make it look a lot healthier too.
So I'm just sectioning my hair off where I'm going to start, and then I'm going to work this way because that's easier for me. So I've got my developer and my permanent color in here. You want to make sure you're wearing something that you're not afraid to lose, because you will mess it up. And this should help kind of melt the two tones together, like that orange section and then the bottom section that was more neutral.
And if you ever have product left over, put it in your hair. Just make sure you fully saturate your hair and just use all the product. I'm just gonna let it sit for about 5 more minutes and then shower, condition, and I'll be right back. Hey guys, so this is my final result with the foils of bleach that I did, and then also with the level 10 NA toner that I did. That's actually a demi-permanent color with a 10 volume developer. Just leaving that on for about 25 minutes total. So you can see now that the seam between the brassy tones and the blonde tones is more melted together, which is what I wanted. And my blonde is more beige. It took out some of the gold that I had, which is good. And then on top, there's still a little bit of brassiness in between the highlights, but the highlights definitely helped cut through a lot of that. So what I would have done differently is I would have bought 2 packets of bleach to do more foils, maybe like 6 more foils on my crown. And then I actually would have gone with like a 9 NA or an 8 NA, because I was hoping for something a little bit darker on my ends. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you, and well, hopefully not. Hopefully you don't turn your hair orange. But if you do, then you know that you can help the situation, probably. If you liked this, like my video and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I will talk to you guys soon.